It's live. I'm sending you the link right now to your to your phone. Yeah. Yeah.
So, hello everybody, welcome to the Tutor afternoon training. How's life after Vappu? Or is there life after Vappu? I don't know, I'm not sure.
We made it here, so...
There you go, that's a huge success already. So yeah, I'm Julia from the PATA team, which means that we handle the services and the events of Helga. And here with me is Joona, who's my partner in crime. He's taking care of the Finnish-speaking tutors, and I'm taking care of the English-speaking tutors, or the exchange tutors. And I think we're gonna take a little game in the beginning. So do you have keys with you? Any kind of keys will work. Or if you have a bunch of keys, that will work also. And take a partner or pair next to you and tell him or her something about your life, like according to those keys. You have a few more minutes and then you will start the actual training.
That's all I know.
Then we're going to have Sami to represent Helga, and then go through a bit of how the arrival of the exchange students will go. Then we're going to have a small break with coffee and some small things to eat. Then Sonia will probably give the Destination Finland presentation, and then meeting new cultures, and that's it. So please pay attention and let's keep quiet so the people who are at the other end of the stream will also hear what we talk about. But yeah, Ida.
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Ida. I'm the vice chairperson of the Helga's executive board this year. This is actually our Tämä, who's our employee, that she does everything regarding tutoring. She's gonna come in a little late, so I'm gonna talk to you about the tutoring course. I'm not that great at it either, because this is more of their specialties, but try bear with me. Okay. So this spring, the school and us decided to reform the whole course a little. That doesn't really affect you guys because it already did change. So basically, now that you're sitting here, you are registered into that course, and you don't have to know about any of the numbers because you don't need to go check it, and you will see it in your minus when you open it. It will show us the course there. What you will improve during this course is your organizational skills and presentation skills, and then skills in social situations and your own presenting. And the assessments are pass or you don't pass. Peer tutors, which you are also, just a fancier name. You guys are limited 3 ECTs per year. If you receive 2 times, most of you do get new students 2 times a year. The maximum is 5 ECTs a year. These trainings and the camp on Monday, Tuesday include the 30 hours. You will write some welcome emails, that is around 3 hours. The pickup revisions is 3 hours more. The orientation week, depending on how much work you do, it's 8 to 15 hours. And then the freshers party is something you can also get a point from. But the max is 10 hours because the first year that you open, there are no more hours to give after that. Supporting students while they are here is circa 10 hours as well. And events organized by you guys, you can write the hours there as well. If this is confusing of what I'm talking, you'll get these kind of tutor passes where you write all the hours down, what you do. You give it to your head tutor, either Katie or Laura, and they sign it up. And once you want to get the points from your tutor course that this or the credits, then you'll give the paper to Johanna and Julia, or straight to there, and then you'll write a little story about how you did your tutoring, and then you'll get the credits. That's how it works, like in a nutshell. Yeah, write down everything you do. I'm pretty sure your head tutors know what you're doing, but it's easier for you once you start writing the little, what do you call it, essay of tutoring that you already have written down for writing the report. I think I already said everything that's written here. Yeah, if you lose it, because it's like such a tiny little paper, I know it's like we're living 2019 and we're still doing it for a little paper, so it's kind of stupid, but yeah, this is how we roll at the moment. Maybe next spring we'll have something fancier. Yeah, this is basically just, again, the things I already said. Write the essay or the report immediately after you are done with tutoring. It might be next spring or you might do 2 years in a row. It depends. The report is necessary if you want to get the credits. And the report needs to include the hours from tutor pass and an analysis of your learnings. And the report form is downloadable from Helga's website, helga.fi/m/material. You guys are probably not doing tutoring for credits, and we totally get it.
Yeah.
But we are allowed to give 800 credits a year. People only apply around 200 of them. So we could get so much more credits, and it looks really good on your final paper that you've done some tutoring. And if you want to go to a second school after this, then they'll appreciate it a lot. So I recommend you writing your report. Because credits are great. Yeah, and this makes you get takes you closer to the 55 credits a year that Haaga-Helia gets its funding. So you getting your credits, you're giving the school more money. And what's really important as well, Helga gets feedback from your reports. So if you want to do tutoring better each year, we can't really do it without getting feedback from you guys. So it's really important in that way as well. Yes. What I just yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, pretty obvious.
But the email address is still the same.
Yeah.
No more obvious. Yes, Anna.
Okay, good afternoon everybody. My name is Sami Ranta and I am the chairperson of the Helga board this year. And first of all, I want to congratulate you for taking a step to apply to become an exchange tutor, and even more so, congratulations on being selected as one. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about Helga as an organization. I'm not going to go very much into detail, but most of the parts that you guys should understand and be able to kind of tell to the exchange students once they arrive. A little background from myself. I am a fourth year student from Globba in Pasilan, and I've been a peer tutor personally in 2016 and 17. But if I had known about the option of becoming an exchange tutor, I probably would have applied for that instead, because it's much more. There's much more into that than just regular peer tutoring. So Helga is a public entity. So it is stated in the University of Applied Sciences law in Finland that as a part of every single University of Applied Sciences, there needs to be a student union. The purpose of what Helga does comes straight from the law. And we, of course, are the representatives of you guys and all the students studying inside of Haaga-Helia. And we work to improve your life as students. More about that a bit later. And also, the actions of the Student Union are guided by laws, our rules, guiding documents like the strategy, and other regulations by, of course, members who get to elect the Representatives Council that acts as the highest authority in the Student Union, and Representatives Council itself that makes like big decisions, strategic decisions. And then the everyday activity that Helga does is managed by the board, our 4 amazing employees, other student representatives all around in Haaga-Helia's administration, and of course you guys, the tutors. Helga's operational side is divided into 3 teams. There's the services and events team, which takes care of all of course events and tutoring, sports stuff. Then we have the advocacy team that represents you guys inside Haaga-Helia and outside of it. And then finally a support team which takes care of stuff like member services and then provides support for the rest of the board and rest of the office as well. And even though tutoring is managed by the services and events team and categorized as service, it is actually the most visible part of Helga's advocacy work, because you are the direct link to new students as well as exchange students, and you are kind of the channel through which they can get themselves heard if something is wrong. And you guys, after the training at the very least, will know how to help them out and where to ask for more help if there's a situation that is not in your power to do anything about. Our motto is sanctuary for the individual and community for the students, and I'll break that down quickly. So there's a passage from the University of Applied Sciences Law. So we are an interest group for all of the students in Haaga-Helia. So what does that actually mean? We do advocacy work inside Haaga-Helia. We are representing all of the students in various work groups and task forces, where our job is to make sure that in every decision that is being made, the student's interest is put first. So of course, as being students ourselves, there's only so much that we can do in terms of having experience and knowledge about education and educating, so-called pedagogic experience and knowledge. That's not the main purpose for us, but to make sure that the students are put first in the decision making. And of course, we also act outside of Haaga-Helia in the society. So we are part of multiple organizations nationwide and around the capital area, where we work to improve the everyday life of all students. And then about the community part, we want to be a community that every single student in Haaga-Helia can feel like they belong in. And now think about actually, how many of you have been to exchange yourselves? A couple of you. You probably remember the feeling of arriving in a new country and having been used to how things work around in your home school in Haaga-Helia, having to completely relearn everything, basically. and not just about the school, but also about the community around the school. The student culture here in Finland can seem really bizarre for many students coming from abroad, and that might also create some barriers for them to like kind of step over the threshold of getting into everything that's going on here, and that's where tutors play a crucial role. Usually exchange students gather their own really tight friend groups really quickly, but we also want that they are a part of a bigger community, not just their own exchange community. So that's where you guys can help out really well. So introducing your exchange students to your friends here locally. So yeah, in addition to events organized by Helga, that of course are pretty big part of the student culture here, Helga offers various other means of creating community and like activities for the community. For example, student clubs. The student clubs in Haaga-Helia have been kind of in a slumber for a while, and we started to work on them more last year in the autumn, and there are a couple of clubs that have been formed at the turn of the year, either at the end of last year or beginning of this year, and we hope that the student club scene can really evolve and become a stronger and more visible part of the student culture in here. And that's actually something that might seem more familiar to students coming from outside of Finland than the student party scene that we have here, because in a lot of universities around the world, you might not have student associations playing as big of a role as we do here, but instead there might be some activity clubs, for example a football club, board game club, movie club, you name it. Those are a lot more common and play a lot bigger role around the world. So that's a good thing to also introduce the exchange students to. Then we have Helga Spexi, and the back row here can tell you probably more about Spexi if you have something to ask. Unfortunately, for the exchange students arriving in the autumn, Spexi is not very relevant because it's performed in the spring. But nonetheless, you can tell about it. Spexi, for those of you who don't know, it's an interactive student play or musical which combines improvisation, dance, music, and the audience can interfere with what's happening on the stage by shouting Omstart and
Omstart lentolisko. Yes.
I don't even
It was a good
care
one.
about embarrassing
That was a
myself
good
anymore.
one.
Yeah. Then the lower part, internationality, can be or is more relevant, of course, for the exchange students coming here. So Ideas Helga is an action group working under Helga, which basically organizes events for the degree students that are studying in English-speaking programs and international programs. By no means does that mean that the events are just for them. Their aim is to kind of include the international students into the bigger student community in here, and English-speaking student events and student culture is a way to do that. And then the most relevant one for you is ESN Helga, which is basically the same thing but for exchange students. ESN Helga is a part of Erasmus Student Network, which is the biggest student organization in the world, and Helga is the local branch here in Haaga-Helia. You will hear more about Helga from Helga themselves, but basically they also organize activities, events and trips for the exchange students. That's about it from my part, but do you have any questions?
Shoot.
I think the crucial part is in the beginning, of course, you guys focus on getting them settled here in Finland and try to make that easier for them. At some point you might face or not you, but the exchange students might face a situation where there's a lot of different student organizations and what do they mean and so on.
And Alex will come today,
Yeah.
who's our exchange student, and I think he has some experience.
Yeah. That's true, but Helga and Helga are the ones that you should especially familiarize them, the exchange students, to, as that's a huge part of their experience, probably, especially if they want to attend the trips organized by ESN.
Yeah, Sonia will start 2:45, so I advise you to go and get some coffee, or if you need to go to the bathroom, do it now, and feel free to talk to your neighbor about your spirit animals or whatever you like. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you, guys.
45, please be back on time.
Yes. Mä voin ensin loppu.
Miljoona asiaa, mistä mä en saa puhua, koska joku
No, we're not checking the attendance. People who can't make it, they send me an email that matters. You need to go.
No.
Okay. So you might need to leave early.
Yeah.
Well, just let me know when you're leaving.
Joo, se varmaan pärjättää.
Kyllä, pärjätään.
Lopun jälkeenkin on elämää.
Ei ole. Kato Stella IG:stä.
Totuus on, ei ole.
Hei, mä oon elämätodistus siitä.
Sä et ole ikinä osaa mitä olemassa monta vuotta.
Jos se sulla olisi huomenna, niin laitaanko sit vaan siihen ryhmächattiin sen sähköpostin vai saat täältä?
Johonkin WhatsApp-ryhmächattiin.
Mä voin laittaa huomenna sen linkin. Okei.
Joo, ja vaikka meidän huomenna streamaamisen kanssa tehdään, mutta se päätitte miksi me kattoo siis Joo, pääset. Joo, koska nämä on kumminkin pakollisia koulutuksia, niin jollain tavalla pitää osallistua, koska muuten ei ole teille niin kuin
Joo, ei saa sanoa mitä student here because I have like stuff to tell me all day. But I will leave. I will leave the laptop with you and the camera with you so that you for sure. No, it's fine. It's set up fine. It's working. Yeah. But I'll leave it with you so that way you know that maybe not a good idea, but I have a black canvas bag for it and everything, so it's easy to carry. But also stay here at least for a little while longer just to make sure everything goes well. Yeah, but I don't really have anything else to do. So like I'm waiting for my sister to get off work for her to dye my hair. So like I might leave a little bit early. Back to work. But I gotta go to the store and pick some stuff up, so I might leave a little bit earlier.
Fill in the
and then after that, we wanted to go to each and I'm actually super danger. So it's gonna be
have you turned in the laptop? Small? Have you removed it? No. Why I should just be writing. She has it right here.
Kumpia kekseitä haluat?
But for us that we have had so much time, so.
That's true, but I think it's really.
Et sä sanonut? What grade do you want? Because my is saying that she didn't finish it and she finished by 10 p.m.
Luulisin, että se on täällä nyt ihan niin kuin näiden näppäimillä. Löytyykö? Okei. Very good, very good. Mä en kestä Lauran koira oli meidän koko vappu ja tää oli sitten tänä aamuna.
But you just put in the link and it's a website. You get to edit it like 3 days after the deadline. Even in my Google checks and how fast.
Ei kun siis tossa se on. Se oli
and then just like, yeah, today's optional. And you're like,
I was here and he was standing here like people were saying that it won't work. Maybe they're like right back to my picked up for us for a reading video. Gonna be so we're not sure if it was not like we have to go there.
Susanna was for the workshop after the
Who was there? Just Susanna. I really like them.
who else?
Mä muistan sen.
Is your friend missing? Or are we all here?
Hello everyone, I'm Sonia Valjus. I'm from Haaga-Helia International Office from the Pasilan campus. First of all, congratulations for your role as a tutor. I think this year there were many applicants, so it was not easy to get this role. So you are all proven to be good in this task of being tutors. And for us, for the international services, your role is extremely important in the sense that you give the first impression of Haaga-Helia to the students that are coming from all our partner institutions. So we have approximately 200 partner universities around the world, and those are the universities where Haaga-Helia students can go for student exchange, and then the universities are sending students to us. And kind of like so that we can guarantee a lot of international opportunities for you, we have to take really good care of the incoming students, so then they will accept our students as well. And you are the first ones to meet these students, so that's why take your role professionally, because the first impression is always very important. And well, so far the tutors have received wonderful feedback, so in that sense no stress about it. I'm sure you will do really well just being yourselves and being welcoming and friendly for the incoming students. And well, we have partners in approximately 40 different countries around the world. Most of our partners are in Europe, but then we have several partners also outside Europe. And annually we welcome 350 incoming exchange students, usually approximately 200 students in the autumn and 150 in the spring. So the number is bigger in the autumn because the semesters are matching better with the semesters of other universities. For example, in Central Europe, often the semester starts in September and ends in February. So then if they would be coming in the spring semester, they would miss their own autumn semester examination period. So that's why for many students the spring semester is less suitable than the autumn semester. So that's why we have more coming in the autumn. Well, you are probably from different campuses, I think, right? Yeah. So we welcome incoming students to, well, we consider Pasilan campus as one, and the students studying business, IT or journalism can come to these two campuses. How many of you are from Pasilan? Yes, good. And then in Helsinki, in Haaga campus, the students can study hotel, restaurant and tourism management. Did you have a question?
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. How many of you are from Haaga? You know, yeah, you can. So the Haaga students. Great, good. And I think in Haaga we usually receive more students in the spring. So Haaga also receives a lot of students from outside Europe, and for them often it doesn't matter if it's the autumn or the spring. And then to Porvoo, we welcome both business and tourism studies, business and tourism students. So practically how Haaga and Porvoo differ is that, well, maybe you can say a few words about that, but in Haaga you have more the hotel management, and then in Porvoo you have more tourism, but
yeah.
How would you?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Elin Andersson, I'm the international coordinator at Porvoo campus. I work with Sonia with the incoming exchange students. Yes, to Porvoo. How many are Porvoo? I noticed some familiar faces, but otherwise, who else is from Porvoo? Yes? Okay. Yeah, basically, the tourism program, before we also know this, but then in Porvoo we're more focused on the business and operation side, while there's Haaga you will be more focused on hospitality and hotel management. So we try and see for the incoming exchange students in the program they meet better.
Yeah, and practically the students can, first of all, the universities can say that, okay, for our students it would be better to be in Porvoo, or it would be better to be in Helsinki. And then the students in their application form, they can say if they wish to go to Helsinki or if they wish to go to Porvoo, but in the end it's us who decide, because we do have to have like enough students in all the campuses. So then some students might have to go to a campus that they didn't select themselves originally. But usually we've been able to find a good solution so that everybody has been happy. And of course we respect if the university has a need of the students getting certain courses, then we of course respect the needs of the university. And then we have Vierumäki campus. Are there any Vierumäki tutors here? No, okay. But our sports students go to Vierumäki. And that's actually quite different when it comes to the incoming students, because in Vierumäki there are always less than 10 exchange students, so it's a tiny group, so they can do everything quite differently, like kind of like take care of them hand by hand. Whereas in Pasilan, in Haaga and in Porvoo we have bigger groups, so it's more like managing bigger groups of students. And from our side, how the process goes is that yesterday was the application deadline. So now we have the list of the students that are coming here next autumn. We were going through the list this morning, but we still haven't been able to place the students to the campuses, so we cannot say the exact numbers of how many students are going to which campus. But here you can get an idea of who is coming. So now at the moment we have 216 applications, so a nice group of students. Most of them coming from Central and Southern Europe, but some also from China, Korea, Thailand, Japan, Mexico. etc. And here you can see the biggest groups of students, so like by the country of the university. So from Germany we are receiving 39 students, from France 32 students, from the Netherlands 28 students, and from Spain 24 students. So those are the biggest groups. And that's been the same for years now. From these countries, somehow Finland seems to be really attractive, so we are receiving sometimes more applicants than we can actually accept.
And we also have several partners in these countries.
Yes, yes.
In Netherlands.
Yes. Any questions about the group of students?
Just a practical question, like if I study in Pasilan, will most of my exchange students be also studying in Pasilan, or could be that some of my
Yes.
students are studying in
It's
different
going to be,
places?
yes. So what happens next with the list of students is that we will send the list to Helga, and after we've decided the campuses, so there will be approximately 30 students in Porvoo, approximately 30 students going to Haaga, approximately 80 to 90 students going to Pasila Malmi, and well, a few students going to Vierumäki. And then once Helga receives the list, then Helga will look that okay, the Pasila Malmi tutors will get students from that campus, and Haaga tutors will get students from Haaga campus. Sometimes if there's a situation where, for example, there would be 50 students going to Haaga, but we only had like certain number of tutors, then some Pasila tutors might help in the Haaga campus. So that could happen, right? But usually we try to make it so that you're guiding students in the campus that you actually know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you are going to help in another campus, then the students from that campus will help you to help you to what you should show, etc. All the practical things. So yeah, that's the idea. And you will all have groups, I think, of 5 to 10 students. So like quite big groups, and international groups. So all of you will have students from different countries in your groups. And I don't know if you've seen this website yet. The main source of information for incoming exchange students is this website. So you can maybe take a picture of it, because also when you will be in the I think you will get once we will send the list to Helga, then they will give you the names of your students and also their emails. So then you can contact them via email, and then they will start asking questions from you. And when they ask you difficult questions that you cannot answer, most of the answers can be found from that website. So we've tried to cover most of the areas that are important for exchange students on the website. I can quickly show it to you. And then you will definitely receive some questions that you cannot answer. So then you can just forward the question to this email, EXEH. So me and Elin, we are reading the EXEH email, so then we can answer. Especially if they are asking something about the studies, don't try to answer them, just forward the email to us. So then we can answer.
But please note that was mid-July we will both be on vacation.
Yeah, so in July, but somebody will be reading it.
Yeah.
Like our international services will be closed only 1 week in the summer. So we are there most of the summer, so there will be always somebody answering this email. So in that sense, it's also best to contact the EXEH email, because somebody's always reading that one. If you send email directly to one of us, we might be on holidays. But even if we are on holidays, somebody will be reading that email. So this is how the website looks like. So practically, they have the part for applying that they've gone through now. Then there's information about accommodation. There are different sites for students coming to Helsinki, students going to Porvoo, and students going to Vierumäki. Then there's a website about immigration, which is something that they might ask you. So I made a table that should be clear. So depending on the status of the student, if they come from EU, they don't have to do anything concerning the immigration before coming here, so they will do everything after arrival. If they come from outside EU, they have to apply for residence permit, and we will help them with that. So we will send them an invitation in May, probably in mid-May. But then we also receive some students that are originally from outside EU, but they are studying in a university in the EU. And for those students, the process is also different. So for Finland, they will only have to make a mobility notification, which costs much less than the actual residence permit. So if they are asking something about the immigration process, you can check this website, you can tell them this website, and if they still have questions after seeing this, then you can ask them to contact us. But then we have this arrival part where you are mentioned, so you will be organizing the pickup for them, so you will be at the airport welcoming them, and they will fill in this arrival form. The link will be there soon. I've actually received it already, thank you, but I haven't had time to put it there. So all the exchange students will fill in this arrival form where they tell exactly at what time, on which date they will arrive where, if they arrive by plane or if they arrive by train. Some Russian students, for example, might be arriving by train, and then you will be picking them up. There's like a session for how to organize the pickup thing, so that there's information about that, and then there's also some information about tutoring here on their website. And then they have a big part of studies, and we've already published the preliminary course lists for them. So if they're asking about the courses, you can tell them to go to this site, because they should be able to find the course list already there. There's a site about practical information where you can find where they can find, for example, the academic calendar, when do our courses begin, when do they have the orientation, when does the semester end, information about our campuses, arrival services, library, IT, all kinds of practical things. And also there's information about the finances. They might be asking you how expensive is it to live in Finland, so you can go to this website and copy paste the information to your answer if you want. Yes, and they also have this checklist that might be useful for you to see as well. Like here you can see what they have to do and when. They have to fill in quite a lot of forms, but we are guiding them with that, so you don't have to worry about that. Your role is more to be the friend and the local guide for them, and we will worry about then the official part of their coming.
Like the most central information, we will most likely also send them by email, so you can always, if they haven't received emails from us, they can also start contacting us in case we got the wrong email address or something.
Yeah. So before arrival, they've all now filled in the student exchange application, and they also should have all applied for housing already, so the deadline was also yesterday, but some of them haven't. So if they are contacting you in June, like I didn't apply for housing, what should I do? Like how can I start looking for housing now? So then you can just tell them to fill in the form at this point. But well, I will tell more about housing in a few minutes, but housing situation is challenging in the autumn. So there will be students without housing as well. So actually if they haven't applied yet, they probably will not get course housing, unfortunately. Then as I mentioned, the students coming from outside EU will apply for a residence permit, and they will also need to get the health insurance that Finland is requiring from them. And then before coming here, they will also enroll for courses from a distance, which is a bit challenging because you've done it in the orientation when you had the tutors helping you, but they will have to do it by themselves from their home country. And looking at the systems of a new university can be quite tricky, so they might be asking you questions as well, but you can forward all those questions to us, because we are then answering. Well, usually students have been able to do this without problems, especially mine, and the enrollment is quite simple. But still, for some, it can be a challenging thing. But as you can see, the course enrollment for them will start after you have a course enrollment, I think, in the beginning of June for the autumn semester, and they will have it afterwards from 17th of June. But it continues until the first week of the first period in August. So even if they haven't enrolled for any course when they arrive, they can still do it in the orientation. Of course, it's best to enroll as soon as possible so that they fit to the courses, but if they, for some reason, if they haven't done it, it's fine. So then they maybe have a bit less selection when they come, but they can still do it. And then something that they will, how many of you have been exchange students yourself? So you know what learning agreement is, but the rest of you might not know. So learning agreement is practically a course list that they will make, and where an agreement where we agree that they can take the courses that they've listed, and their home university agrees that those courses are okay for the home university. So it's an official document that all the European students especially have to do. So they might be asking you about that, then also forward the questions to us. But this is something that most of the students are doing before coming. And then they will have to fill in the arrival form that I mentioned just before coming. And the deadline for the arrival form is in the end of July. And then once they arrive, you will be first picking them up. So during the orientation week, the Monday and Tuesday are pickup days. So those are the days when we recommend them to arrive, so that they would all arrive on those 2 days, so then they can get a nice welcome from you tutors. And then after that, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday is the orientation for them. And at the airport, they will receive a welcoming envelope, which probably will be quite reduced actually now, because we found out that if we give a lot of information for them at the airport, they forget everything home and they don't bring those to the orientation, so it's best to keep the things that they will need in the orientation. So there will be probably a map of Helsinki or Porvoo. The ones who are living in Hoas will have their Hoas keys in the envelope, which is very important. So then actually when they arrive, you can take them directly to their apartment, because they will have the key in the envelope. So the key is the most important content of the envelope.
In Porvoo, the tutors will have the keys, so you can at the same time pick them up and give them the key to the apartments.
We all get our own exchange students, right?
But you don't necessarily pick up your own students, because you cannot be there from 9 to 11.
Okay.
So the pickup turns are divided a bit differently.
Okay, but when do we find out?
Yeah, and then you will meet your own group on Wednesday morning. Yeah. So at the pickup, because I guess many of you will get to know a huge group of these incoming students, not necessarily your own group, but a lot of others. So it's kind of like nice that already at the airport you can see more of them than just your own group. But then like the Wednesday is planned for you to be with your group and for like the process of actually creating a group. So you have a lot of time to spend with them on Wednesday. And then when they arrive, we organize them the orientation. Also, when they arrive, usually I haven't contacted the population registration office yet, maistraatti, but usually that office has come to our campus. In Porvoo, let's see.
We students visit them during sort of go over city tour. There I have some. I'm gonna meet you guys for a separate session for the tutors, how we also manage that and so on. So
But in Helsinki we have so many students, like they are, well, probably like at least 100, 130. So we cannot really, the office is super small. So they prefer coming to our campus rather than taking all these incoming students at the same time to their office. So that's why they will most likely come to Pasilan on Wednesday. So then the students can register for the city of Helsinki. And then they will get also their personal identity number that we will then need from them afterwards. And then the EU citizens will have to apply for a right to reside in Finland. But this is something that in reality they don't apply for this. So practically the rule is that if you stay in another EU country for longer than 3 months, you should apply for this. But then if you visit another country in between, for example, you stay 2 months and then you go to Estonia or Russia, then the time starts again. So they can go around this rule and then they don't have to pay for the permit. So usually EU citizens don't apply for it. But then if they stay for the 4 months or so that the autumn semester lasts without visiting any other country, and then they get somehow in trouble and they have to be in touch with police, and police is checking when did they arrive, and they don't have a ticket to show that they actually went to another country, they might end up in trouble. So in that sense, if they do stay in the country for the whole time, then they should apply for the right to reside. We will explain this to them in the orientation as well, but I'm sure they will ask questions about it as well, so it's good that you know also. And then when they arrive, you will help them to get the HSL card, the ones living in Helsinki, and then the ones living in Porvoo, you will help them, well, you will show them the other means of transport that there are.
We get them bikes.
Yes.
More environmental friendly.
Yeah. And then the students coming to Porvoo and Hieromäki, they will sign their tenancy agreements when they arrive. Then about the responsibilities of you and us. So our responsibility, we have several international coordinators involved in this. So especially when it comes to studies, in Pasilan we are four persons handling the incoming students, and in Haaga we have Katri, that probably Haaga students have met. In Porvoo we have Elin, so we have several persons, and what is our role is that we help the exchange students planning their studies. We help them with applications and acceptance letters and all the official and formal things. And we organize the orientation. You will organize part of it, but we will organize the whole orientation. And then we will help them with the housing issues. And then your role is to help them with all the practical issues. So practically all the arrival formalities that, like, you know, they will visit the travel card office, or they will visit the population registration office, or I don't know what's the difference between milk and the sour milk, and all these kind of practical things that they will need when they arrive. That would be your role, because we will be meeting mainly huge groups of students, so we are not able to answer all the detailed questions. So you are the ones with the smaller group, and you have a chance to help them with all the questions related to life in Finland, because all of you have been like, you haven't necessarily lived your whole life in Finland, but you've lived at least 1 year in Finland, so you know how things are working, and they don't. So you are there to kind of like smoothen their arrival, so that life would be easier for them here. And then your big role is also to be their support, be a local friend. You know yourself, if you're traveling somewhere and you have a local person in the city, it's so much easier to find the nice things to do, etc. So you are that person for the incoming students. And then you are also a guide to local customs and culture. I'm sure you will all have a lot of cultural discussions as well, because cultures are different. Tomorrow we will have a session about intercultural communication and intercultural issues. So your role is to also explain, if they are wondering why is this thing done in this way. In my country it's done totally in another way, so you can try to explain. It's not always easy, especially if it's your own culture. You're probably not aware of how things are done, but that's also a big part of being a tutor. Do you have some ideas?
No, this is pretty answering questions about the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, also for example their hobbies, like they are interested in where to find piano classes or swimming holes, or all kinds of questions will be there. And then you can try to answer the best you can, but of course if we can also help you if some questions are really difficult, etc.
Also introducing them to student life in Helsinki, you know, of course Helga and going in for arranges parties and so on, so then where they can meet people and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and help them to integrate, so help them to meet other people. That's a big part of your role. How many of you have been tutors already? You, what would you say? Do you have something to add for the role of the tutor?
I think that's pretty good description of
Yeah.
what takes
So I was mentioning that we are several international coordinators in different campuses. So here you can see our names. So for the business students coming to Helsinki, there are 4 persons, me, and then my colleague Maarit, my colleague Inga, and my colleague Mirva in Pasilan and Malmi campuses. Then here in Haaga campus we have Katri. And then IT students are also coming to Pasilan campus, and I will be their contact person and academic advisor as well. So all these persons are also academic advisors for the incoming exchange students. And in Porvoo campus, for both business and tourism studies, it's Elin. And in Vierumäki, we have Mairit. Then about the accommodation. So the accommodation process is a bit different in different campuses. Maybe you can explain the process in Porvoo.
Yeah, in Porvoo, the students don't have to apply separately. They will be automatically given a place in an apartment. We mostly have shared apartments. There we at least last year did so that the tutors were given the keys by the main janitor. I'll be in contact with them again. Most likely we will do the same system, so you'll have them for the pickup days. The apartments are 3 kilometers from the main campus, so we also actually arrange with bikes that the students can rent. Also, when the students are leaving, they can leave some of their belongings that are in good shape, so to say, in a storage facility. So that will be open when the new ones arrive, so they can pick up things for pillows, plates, mugs, things that they might need, so they don't have to buy anything. Some of there will be some good stuff for them as well.
And sorry, I forgot to update your name. There's the previous coordinator there. So Elin is the one responsible.
Mostly they all stay in Kevari, those who know where that is, and instead the keys will be given to the tutors. So basically, a good idea is perhaps to introduce them to how the apartment looks, what the sauna is, what the washing rooms, where the supermarket, LRS market is, and so on, and how to get to campus from there.
And so when they arrive, they will need to have the deposit receipt with them, and with that they can then sign the agreement and get the keys rights.
They actually, most likely their agreements will be sent to them by email already by the housing company.
Okay.
The housing company takes care of the formalities.
Yeah. So Porvoo students don't have to apply at all. They will get automatically housing. Vierumäki students and Helsinki students have to apply for housing. And in Helsinki, we recommend the exchange students to apply for HOAS housing. HOAS has furnished apartments for our exchange students, and we actually have a quota of 129 apartments for Haaga-Helia exchange students. So that's only for Haaga-Helia exchange students. And that's probably the most cheapest way for them to live here in Helsinki. Some of them prefer renting Airbnb or something with their friends, and that might come cheaper in the end if the place is furnished, because I don't know if you are living at HOAS, but when you live at HOAS, you don't pay for the furniture, but unfortunately the exchange students do, so then the rent is a bit higher than your rent, because there's a fee for the furniture as well. But we recommend them all to apply for HOAS housing, and hopefully they already have, because the deadline was yesterday. The application form is still open, so they can still apply. We will send HOAS a list of all our exchange students, and all the students coming from outside EU will get automatically housing, and then the EU students will get housing based on how fast they applied. So the ones that applied in the beginning of April when the form opened will get housing for sure. The ones that applied yesterday might not get housing. So we usually have approximately 30 students coming to Helsinki that are without housing. And then I will make a list of other options that they can then start searching from. For example, Forenom has usually given a deal that's another company that has rooms. So they usually they've given a deal for universities in the Helsinki area, so that the students can apply for relatively cheap housing from there as well, or Airbnb or some hostels, etc. Usually the ones that didn't get HOAS housing have been able to find something, but some found the situation so stressful that they then cancelled. But we try to help them, and you should also try to help them as much as possible. But of course you don't have to look for housing for them, so that's their own responsibility. If they get HOAS housing, then the HOAS rental agreements for exchange students are fixed, so they cannot decide when they move in and when they move out, but they have certain dates from the beginning of August until the end of December is the period that they rent the apartment for, and there are no that's how it is, and it cannot be affected at all or changed. So if they leave earlier, they've already signed the contract, so they still have to keep on paying, unless they have a really serious reason. So then in some cases they might be able to terminate the contract earlier, but in most of the cases they are responsible of the full semester. And that's because practically we have this quota of 129 apartments, and if they don't pay, we will actually be responsible of paying it, Haaga-Helia. And of course, well, the money comes from the government so that you can study here, not so that we can pay exchange students apartments. So that's why we are very strict with them, that we actually, they will pay their rents.
And they will not receive the credits from Haaga-Helia before they pay the rent.
Yeah, yeah. And normally it's not possible to change housing. Sometimes exchange students don't get along with their roommates or something, but usually, unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done. But those kind of issues are then dealt by HOAS, so if they have problems, they should contact HOAS. And then in Haaga-Helia, I'm the contact person for housing, but if it's some practical question, usually it's only HOAS that can answer. Yeah, and you already mentioned that they will not get their final transcript of records or other certificates if they haven't paid their rents. And then they also, HOAS has some like fees. They will actually advise the students to call the police if there's like too much noise, etc. Exchange students like to party, of course, but it's like recommendable also for you to tell them that they would leave their apartment approximately at 10 o'clock and then continue partying somewhere else so that they would not end up having any trouble. And if they, I think if they get 3 notifications, then they are evicted from their apartments. And I will give a session in the orientation about the housing as well. So I will say a few words, for example, about recycling, because in different countries, the how to handle the garbage is quite different. In some countries, you leave it in the corridor and then it's picked up from there. In some, it's like there are various ways how to handle garbage. So then it would be good if you could also help them to see how it's done in Finland. Like we have this different colored boxes where you put your, how you can recycle your garbage.
In Porvo, we'll have the house accreditation company will come and have a short session about the house rules and so on. And then I think really good feedback to my tutors this spring. I made a really good list about the recycling as well. I know you probably have it if you can share it. It's really well done.
Yeah, I have it. I'll share it.
But the challenging part in Helsinki is that, like Elin mentioned, that in Porvo, the exchange students that are leaving can leave their stuff in a certain room, and then the new ones can get things from there, like I don't know, plates and TVs and things like that. But then in Helsinki we tried to do it. Helga has tried to do it. Like we had a room where these things were put. But there are so many exchange students in Helsinki that in practice it was just not possible. So at the moment there is no way for the previous exchange students to recycle their things to the new ones, unfortunately. And there was even a company that was developed to kind of like collect all these things that are left and then give it to the new ones. But since it was a company, they wanted to make some profit, and with this business it was difficult to make profit, so they don't exist anymore. So that is a challenge that we see that is there, because we would like to support sustainability and recycling, but yeah, this is a challenging part of it. I don't know if Helga has thought of any answers to this problem, but any solutions? Yeah. And as I mentioned, often in the autumn semester, HOAS doesn't unfortunately have enough room for all the exchange students. So then we recommend them to stay or in the hostels or in these Forenom, well, those are hostels as well, but maybe a bit more similar to the HOAS housing options. But I will put this information on the same website as well. I will update it for the autumn exchange students. And at the moment, we don't know exactly when HOAS has sent all the offers, the housing offers, because we do it so that around mid-May, I will send a list of our incoming exchange students to HOAS, and then they will start offering housing for different students. But then I think they have like 2 weeks period that the student can think if they accept the offer or not. So only after that 2 weeks they can offer it again. So it's relatively slow process, because then if the second student doesn't take it either, then the third student is offered the same apartment. So that's why some students might get the information only in the end of June, for instance. Usually in July they all have received, like they've sent all the offers, but then there might be some cancellations, so some offers might still come in July, because the exchange students of course are always asking like, until when can I wait before looking for something else? And that's a challenging question, because it must be stressful to not know about your housing situation. But yeah, that's a bit tricky part of the process, because sometimes it lasts longer, but usually we tell them that if they haven't heard anything from HOAS by first weeks of July, then they should start looking for something else. So then they still have 1 month time to look for housing in Helsinki. Yeah, there were some other options. And yeah, here are the accommodation contacts, as I mentioned already, and there's also the HOAS email. Although, no, this is not correct. Well, the correct HOAS email is on our website. It's like exchange students and then HOAS. Then about the orientation. So the orientation is organized by us, the international services, and it's compulsory for all the incoming exchange students. And we will give information about studies, housing, and living in Finland. And here you can see more or less how it's organized in Helsinki. So the first day, you are responsible of taking them to different offices around the city, and also to show them all the practical things about supermarkets, etc. So book that entire day for tutoring. Then on Thursday, we will need some volunteers from you to help with the studying part. So practically on Thursday, all the exchange students of Helsinki will finalize their study plan in Haaga-Helian. We will help them in study related questions. And then on Friday, there will be the housing session. There will be something about Finnish culture, and then they will also have a Helsinki sightseeing. And then in Porvoo,
you probably do the opposite. On Wednesday I have a monologue.
About studies?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we also sign up for the courses as well on Wednesday already. So if they need any help, we can still try and figure out any possible problems on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, usually in the morning, we still have one session, and then usually the students take the students out after that to go to Maastricht, but also to go and see Porvoo. And on Friday, I arranged with the bus transport to Pasilan campus. And when you have decided where you're going to have the party, which I presume you're going to arrange again on Friday, please let me know so I can make sure the bus picks them up to get them home.
The day for it, and we send it to the school, so you should
Okay,
see it
I
on
see
the
that.
calendar.
Okay. Yeah, because then the Porvoo students get the bus ride home as well.
yeah. So on Friday, all the exchange students will be in Pasilan campus, and there will be also Helga telling them about Helga, and Yes and Helga telling them about all the trips, etc. that there will be. And if some students are arriving after the orientation, you don't have to pick them up, but if you have time, you can. And then most likely their keys will be at, if they come to Helsinki, their keys will be at Pasilan campus, the Pasilan campus info desk at the main entrance. If they come to Porvoo, then they should contact them if they arrive after the normal arrival time.
Last year I think everyone arrived at least at the pickup week, so.
Yeah. And then also if they arrive after the normal arrival time, then ask them to visit us so we can tell all the practical things to them so that they get all the information needed. And I already mentioned practically that they will enroll for courses. They will also get the MyNet usernames and passwords from us in the end of May via email. Well, practically the username via email and the password via text message to all around the world, which is not the most it doesn't always work. But then if they contact you about this, forward the email to us, and we've been able to find a solution so that they all got their usernames and passwords before the enrollment began. And then in the end of their stay, this will actually probably change. We will not be sending any transcript of records anymore, but as you probably, I guess you've received the information that Haaga-Helia will have these official digital transcripts of records. So Haaga-Helia will have several certificates digitalized in the beginning of May. So then the students can actually get the official version directly from MyNet, and they don't have to get it from an office anymore. That will be possible for you as well as students soon. Yeah. So if they have problems or questions, if they have course-related problems or questions, then they should contact the teacher of the course. And if they have general problems about studying at Haaga-Helia, then they should contact us. Yeah, but do you have any questions at that time? Sorry that it took longer.
It's okay. 3 more minutes.
Yeah, okay. Any questions at this point? We will be meeting you again in August, so there's this kind of a revision of all the things, and then you will actually, like, there will be the pickup lists available already at that point and everything, so then we can like discuss more in practice things. Yeah.
Yeah, all the HOAS keys for Helsinki are they're all in Pasila.
Yeah, so practically we get the keys in the beginning of August from HOAS, and then we will put those in the welcoming envelopes, and then when you will go to the airport, you will take the envelopes to the airport, so all the keys will be at the airport.
So in case if someone comes afterwards?
But if they come afterwards, then it's in Pasila, or if they come before, also from Pasila. Yeah. But we will send you the dates when we have the dates which is the date when we get the keys from HOAS, because if they arrive even before that, then they can get the key from HOAS. But the keys are for a long time in Pasila, so most of them will get their keys from the airport or from Pasila. Yeah.
And if you have any student contacts you and tells you that they want to cancel the exchange, please let them know they should also contact us. Because sometimes how it happens is they will contact tutors that I'm not coming, but make sure that they also contact the international office so they know.
And I don't know if you've decided the autumn or the August date yet, but usually it's like just before pickup, so it's quite nice because you will start your work as a tutor the following week, so it's like really close to that.
So we're working on it at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And here you can get my contact information, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. You can take also my phone number, because in case, I don't know, you are skiing with the exchange students in Lapland and one of them ends up in hospital, you can also contact me quite urgently. But of course, with normal questions, please use the email, the EFCH email. So this one. Okay. Well, again, congratulations for being selected as a tutor, and yeah, I'm sure you will all do a great job. Your role is extremely important. But I will meet you again in August, or me or Elin. Let's see who will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okei, no niin, jos hyvä. Me ollaan täällä huomenna. Anyway, so we're gonna give you 15 minutes break, so be back at 45. Have some coffee, have some cookies, and so on. And the task for the break is to get two people, ask their name and the campus they're from, and then the legendary spirit animal. Yeah, beautiful. 15 minutes, be back on time.
Sorry.
It's fine.
You sure?
I was a bit early.
Laura should be there watching us.
Can I go
No, wait.
Yeah, I never know when the student coming to
Yeah, so
Saat jäsenillä.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Did you take the bus or the train?
I took the wrong, like I took one of the private company buses. Not the, like I didn't take like an HSL bus. I took a different one, but I was just following Google Maps and it said like just from Frankfurt to 40, so I guess 40. And I looked at the bus and I already think to myself,
how much was it?
I guess like it's 650.
Yeah.
But not like
You should have dropped off at that point.
it's only 3 euros more than that.
Was that the Savon Linia? The yellow bus?
I don't know which one I took anymore.
Why does the Google Maps advise you to take not the local bus? They usually always advise you to take the local bus. Never heard.
You guys have certain private buses.
We do.
Like in Belgium, there's only the government bus.
Yeah, well, we have only the government train, but it's gonna change.
We also have one.
Oh, you do?
Which is also a bad thing. They have such a monopoly.
But it's gonna change. I think 2020 is the year when we're gonna, open the market for everybody.
So is mine? Does mine start after this Friday?
Yeah, it does. I added it in the notification, so it should be all good.
Cool.
No stress. Good.
Like how many? So were there more and then selected as a final?
Yeah, but there are at least 5 people who didn't show up today. But how many exchange students do you have in total? 46. There should be more people.
Yeah, but new ones like 30.
Oh yeah, true, because we have some who are continuing the next year as well. So like Eda and I think Helga is continuing. Yeah, so they don't have to come to the training. They already know what we're doing.
And like what people like don't make the cut when you take something or you can be a tutor?
Well,
Or doesn't that
no, they have some sort of extra assignment as well. I mean, then again, this is like no one. 38 new ones.
No, 38.
Yeah, we have a bit less. But it's okay.
No life.
When did you leave yesterday?
Took a bus back at 8, I think.
So you took the omnibus.
That was like almost the last one. Because otherwise it sucks.
Did the French girls stay?
No.
Because they were telling me. So did they go to someone morning?
I don't know, but they like Helia,
probably when
And
he
Jill has
said
this,
people.
has this like boyfriend here.
Huh? She does?
She's even saying that she's longer because he's
Really?
he's from
So is
he was on a Latin trip, he's from Germany.
so it's an exchange as well. Okay.
So they just stay to meet up with some boys.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, let's see what Katie will do. Katie. She introduced herself as a Katie when I met her. Now I can't change it anymore. Kate, sorry.
That's fine, you can probably call it Kate.
Yeah, I think that's how you write it.
I think it's Mary Kate though.
Mary Kate.
That's like did you stay in Finland?
We went to karaoke kellari, which is this karaoke place like down in the basement. It was okay. Yeah, karaoke basement.
Where is it located?
It's in the center, yeah. It's like
Close to the Virgin Oil.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's on the little square. Dubliner.
I don't know.
Well, that's
It was okay. I mean, there were quite a many people. Like usually the place is really empty.
What song did you sing?
Oh, I don't sing. Nuh-uh. You gotta sing. No, I suck at singing. And I have this, how do you call it? Myötähäpeä. It's like when you feel like empathy, but then like bad empathy, you know? That you're feeling embarrassed of what they do.
Sorry for them that they go up there and sing.
Yeah, because we have a word for that in Finnish, and that's how I feel every time when I hear someone singing like really badly. So that's why I don't want to do it. Because you'll like sit there and be like,
I only do it when I'm really drunk.
yeah, I wasn't enough drunk to do it yesterday.
So what time do you get there?
Today, till 5, I think.
Sanakirja said it's second-hand embarrassment.
Second-hand embarrassment.
Shared sense of shame.
Shared sense of shame, I love that. Shared sense. Works. But that's exactly what it is, so. What time is it? I'm gonna go to the bathroom before I continue.
Silloin meillä olisi joku tyyli, joka oli vasta alas siitä. Me oli niinku silleen, että mä vaan tiesin, että siinä oli joku sellainen päivä teemi ja parhaat. Se oli niinku sellaiset pyörää ja kaikkia. Ja mä avasin jotain, että varmaan miten tohvaa. Mitä tää? Kuinka täällä? Ja sitten ollaan löysin sen sijaan. Löysin katsotaan lisää. Ja kaikki toivottavasti vähän edessä sinne oli iso Katsotaan vuorosta huomenna.
Se jäi siis Tuolta mulle kyllä mulla olisi hävinnyt semmoinen kuva, siis semmoinen
Fly or something, the reporters, when they go online, they go like, yeah, I want to fly.
That's an American thing. So after my talk, I just pack up and go.
Yeah.
Unless I want to stay for another It takes me about an hour and a half to get back anyway.
But don't take that bus.
No, I won't take the bus. But do you know the number? Oh, the train from here directly?
Goes to the train station.
Oh, right, yeah.
But that's easier. And it's like, how many
Do you mean the train or do you mean the train or like the metro?
The train. Yeah.
And I also mentioned that you need to know.
Yeah. I'll search for Google will betray you
Please watch out for this. It's a bit broken, so it's like white stuff. It's broken.
1 minute! So this is what you search. I sent you that was 700. It shows 1.9 is the card, but it's
I didn't even know that there was a This is the Haaga-Helian. Also
and then they have this
like another school is here.
Okay, please sit down so we can continue the program.
Meeting's here.
And I'm not gonna say it. Okay, yeah, let's continue. So next, Alexander, our exchange student from Porvoo, will hold a speech about how it was like being in Finland and coming to Finland and so on. So yeah, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi guys, I hope you still have enough energy to listen to me for 15 minutes after the celebrations of the previous week. So my presentation just started, right? So yeah, my name is, well, you guys can all call me Alex. I've been here for almost 4 months. I'll be leaving in just 2 weeks, and and I've had a really great time here. And I'm just gonna talk a bit about my experience and hopefully also help you guys like with the expectations that we have as exchange students and how you guys can maybe kind of deal with that. And also like I feel this semester like the level has been set pretty high. The tutors did a great job with everything, like everything that they dealt with. So I'm just gonna talk about that a bit as well. So yeah. So the first thing that everyone asks me after I like introduce myself and say hi, I'm from Belgium, my name is Alex. The first thing that they ask me is, oh, this is not going the way I wanted it to go. Right, well, there's supposed to be a sentence up there which somehow didn't pop up. It's not working, but there's the emoticon of the earth anyway. But it's supposed to be, why on earth did you choose to come to Finland? Like, and people look at me with this really puzzled face, like why in the dark, cold winter would you want to come here? And I'm just gonna go over 3 reasons for me why I wanted to come here. I know these are my reasons, but I feel that like a couple of them are pretty general as well for most people. So this is a picture of me mid-February when my beard was apparently a bit longer, and it was -20 outside, and I had these icicles almost falling off my face here. But I have like the big smile on my face, and that's because I really wanted to come and experience the winter here. Again, that must sound really weird for you guys who've been here like all your life or something. But I've lived in Argentina, I've lived in Spain. You're from Argentina, great. I lived in Buenos Aires for 6 months almost. Okay. And there are a lot of other exchange students like from Tanzania, the south of France and stuff as well. And for us, like, we've been sweating all year long, you know, like we would like to experience a cold maybe. And this kind of goes hand in hand with my second reason. Oh, I can't play this video either, Judy. This was supposed to be a beautiful time lapse from the Northern Lights in Lapland. So all the exchange students, we all went for a week to Lapland with ESN, and we saw the Northern Lights 2 nights in a row, and it was amazing. And so like nature is a really big part why people come here as well. Like Finland is known as a country of like forests and lakes and stuff. And I also remember I saw this movie, The Snowman, based on this book from Joe Nesbo. I don't know if you guys have maybe seen the movie as well. And it's filmed in Norway, but I remember watching it and thinking, wow, like in the winter, the scenery from the Nordic countries is beautiful. So after these 2 reasons, I really thought, right, I want to go somewhere up north, nice nature, somewhere cold as well. So you're probably asking yourself, like, why didn't I choose Norway or Sweden then? And that kind of brings me to my third reason, the education. So I'm from Belgium, and on these unofficial lists, we're also ranked pretty high usually. We usually have like, we're usually on spot like 5 or 6. And we all know in Belgium that Finland is right up there. We know you guys occupy like the first spot and have a really good reputation when it comes to this. And this is actually a picture of me participating in the sales competition at the alumni event of the Porvoo campus, which I should have won, but unfortunately didn't. So I started looking into Haaga-Helia before I came, and I read that the way of education is so fundamentally different than like what I was used to in Belgium. We get lectured at much more, much bigger groups as well. And I read about Haaga-Helia, and like the education was all about like working with real life examples with real companies, learning by doing. And this was really appealing to me, and yeah. So the combination of these 3 reasons really led me, and I think quite a lot of other people, to come to Finland. And this is maybe something you guys can take into account when organizing like events for the students next year or something, that these are the main reasons why people maybe come here. So I really wanted to touch on this, because I think you guys all know like the first week or the first moment that you arrive in a new place can really be a fundamental thing to like to how the rest of your stay is going to be here. And so I had a pretty shitty arrival day, to be honest. I got on a plane from Brussels to Stockholm, I think it was, got on another plane, went to the pickup service at the airport, but I had to wait there for like an hour and a half waiting for another student to come before we could leave on the tram to the center, got on a bus to Porvoo. When I got to my apartment, I forgot I didn't have a cushion, there were no curtains, the shop had just closed, so I couldn't have any food. So I was pretty tired and like just exhausted when I woke up the next day. And then you come to the welcome day. And this is actually, well, I'm actually standing somewhere there in the background. This is a picture that I took from the Instagram account from the Porvoo campus. And this is when it all changed for me, really. Like a lot of these students, when they arrive, like they'll be really unsure, some even scared or nervous even. And when I walked through the doors of the campus, like all the tutors came and greeted me, I felt really welcome. And I felt like everything was really well organized and put into place. And it gave me a real feeling of like being at home and being welcomed into a new place. Because in Belgium, this is a pretty new system to us. I think if you came to Belgium, well, I don't want to sound bad about Belgium, but if you came to my university 2 years ago, you would have had to go to the info desk and ask like, how do I get to school and this stuff. But this was all kind of done like in relation to my tutor and stuff. So it all fell into place really nicely. And yeah, the tutors like introduced themselves, so did the teachers. We all had lunch together. So it's not like they say hi and then kind of leave you up to it. You're really integrated in the whole system from day one. And I think that, well, when you guys do that with the next students, it's really important for new people when they arrive that you really make them feel at home and as comfortable as possible. So Julia also asked me to talk about like what exactly like did the tutors help you with, and the answer is pretty simple. They helped us with almost everything. Like Julia got into contact with me a month and a half before I came. I asked her everything that I could. She replied to everything. You get put in this big WhatsApp group with all the other exchange students where people ask loads of questions as well. And I just highlighted 2 simple things here really. So one of the exchange students asked like, where do we get picked up for our trip to Lapland? And Heidi answered, well, like last time it was from this point, but I'm not really sure. But she goes the extra mile to find it out for us, right? She says, I'll find that out for you. And soon, and pretty soon afterwards, she also got that answer for us as well. And I just highlighted this because I like that they went out of their way to find stuff out for us. It wasn't just like, we don't know, and just like try and find it out by yourself. And this was a consistent line throughout the whole semester. And the second one, it's funny because the lady standing here before me was talking about if someone is skiing in Lapland and breaks their arm and stuff, but there was this girl who actually broke her arm after going out one night in multiple places. And she wasn't feeling that well one night and needed a taxi to go to the hospital. And it was almost midnight. And just 10 minutes later, Kasperi, one of the other tutors, offers to drive her there. I thought that was pretty cool. You guys might say, well, if I lived close by and I had a car, I would probably do that as well. But still, like, again, I wanted to highlight how fast the tutors always responded, and they helped us with everything, literally everything. So, yeah, pretty high standards maybe you guys have to keep up to. Yeah, so cultural shocks, I mean, I can go through these pretty quickly, and I feel these are really general as well, but I just wanted to touch upon them quickly. The first one being the amount of rye you guys eat in your diet. It's pretty crazy. I remember going in the supermarket to the breads department and seeing all the different varieties and thinking, wow, I have no idea what I have to choose, and I spent like 20 minutes looking at all the different types of bread and stuff. And the tutors also organized this one evening, which was really cool, where the idea was all the exchange students and the tutors had to bring a dish from their own country. And believe it or not, but all the Finns had something based on rye, right? So rye bread with butter, and the other one had like mummy, the dessert, and then we had the Korean pie and stuff. And so that was quite funny. Another one is a sauna. Like, I knew it was a Finnish thing, but I had no idea there were almost 3 million saunas and only 5.5 million Finns. That's pretty insane. And also with this, the nudity part for me wasn't a big problem, but I know with a lot of the girls it is sometimes. And this is something I'll come back to later as well. And then a cultural shock, my Belgian beer, of course. Alcohol here is pretty expensive, and if the tutors or if there's any event where alcohol prices are cut in half, like you'll see a big turnout of people who want to come there. Because alcohol is pretty expensive, but you guys all probably know that as well. Yeah, just touching upon my best moments, I don't think I can play this video either, which is a shame. Because it's me riding on the Huskies in Lapland. But I just wanted to say that a lot of people come here on exchange just to do Lapland sometimes as well. That's what people tell me. It's a big part. And it certainly lived up to what it was. We got to feed reindeer, snowmobiling, saw the northern lights and stuff riding on the Huskies. So that was really great. And there's been so many great moments, so I just took a picture from one. But all the events organized by the tutors was really amazing. This is a picture from the freshman party, you know, where you have all the checkpoints around the city. And this is a picture of our group. I forgot to mention that I was the only guy, so there are about 25 girls this semester in Bogo on exchange. And I'm the only guy standing there at the back. Two of our tutors left and right here. And this was this was a long afternoon and a long evening. We drank and partied a lot. It was really fun. But I wanted to highlight this picture because it wasn't like the tutors went and found their own friends and did their own thing. They really stuck to us together as a group. And with this, I also kind of want to say, you aren't just someone's tutor. Like, you aren't just someone's guide for the city. Like, these are friendships you really build up and you can keep. Like, I know I'm certainly going to try with Heidi and with Julia here. And they're always welcome to come to Belgium. And this was said previously as well. If you want to visit another country, it's great because you'll know so many people in so many different places. And you'll have so many friends as well. And then finally, I do want to give a piece of advice to you guys. So, like, as I said with the nudity and the sauna before, this kind of goes into that you'll have so many different people from different countries. And they all come from different cultures, right? And some people might not want to drink, others might not want to go out at all. And that's okay. Like, not everyone's the same, and that's fine. You just have to try and please the majority, I feel, as the tutors as well. And also, yeah, so I talked about this food event that they organized previously. I was actually the only person who came to that event out of all the students. And understandably, I saw they were disappointed, right? Because they put this effort into organizing it. And I was the only one who came, and the rest all kind of, well, said they weren't going to come in the last minute. But like, don't let that put you off from not organizing other stuff. Try and be consistent in the stuff that you organized. I personally felt there was a bit more organized at the beginning of the semester than towards the end. That's maybe my personal opinion. You can correct me if that's right or wrong. But yeah, try and be consistent. In the end, we really appreciate that you guys organize so much stuff for us, and we're, well, forever thankful, really. And that's also my last note. Like, I think it's amazing that you guys want to do this, and I'm sure you'll have a great time. There are so many cool people to meet, and you'll have a great time with all of your students, I'm sure. And I just want to say a big thank you to two of my tutors sitting here. This would never have been what it was if it weren't for them. It would have been different, and in the negative way, I think, as well. So don't cry, it's okay. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Yes, I do.
I have to see
We love you.
Why are you all teary? Don't cry.
I saw the presentation earlier, so I cried at that point, so I'm okay. I'm fine. Yeah, so thank you, Alex.
No worries. Thank you for
It was
having me and
amazing.
for listening.
Do you have any questions for Alex?
Yeah, please, if you have any questions. Yes.
How did you feel about coming here and doing all the migration stuff? Did it feel hard or anything, going to like Hela or something?
No, like the easy thing, this was mentioned before, I was at Porvoo, so first of all, like, housing is done for you automatically. That was quite an easy part as well. And as I said, the nice thing was Julia got in contact with me, and I could ask her anything she wanted. She helped me with a lot of stuff prior to when I came. Also, the pickup thing is great, actually. It just sucked that I had to wait there for a long time, but other people only had to wait there for a short while, so that was okay. Actually, no, I thought it was going to be much harder migrating here than it actually was. So, all in all, I thought it was okay. I have indeed heard different stories from other exchange students when I was in Lapland, who, like, regarding housing here in Helsinki, so that might be a bit tricky for some other people. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, were you asking something else?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't remember.
Okay.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Which level outthink your reality is met with your expectation before coming to Hela?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's actually another thing that I wanted to say. Before I came, everyone was like, "Oh, the Finns, like, really quiet people, and might even be like antisocial to a certain part as well." And now I feel that might be true for like the older generation more, but as I said, from the moment I stepped into the campus, I was really just shoved aside, really. And to be honest, you guys party harder than most countries that I've been to, so no, it's definitely met up to my expectation. Also, like, the ESN trips that are organized to Lapland and St. Petersburg are great. That's a really fun part for us as well. And yeah, for Porvoo, even sometimes there are buses organized that take us to Helsinki and back, which is really nice sometimes as well. So even though I felt I was quite away from the center in Porvoo, I never felt like there wasn't stuff to do for me, which I maybe was a bit afraid because I'm a real city person, and I knew I was going to be quite far away from stuff, but I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed, not like, I go hiking in the nature like every weekend or something, and I really love doing it. It's become a kind of routine for me, and it's really nice to do. So that's one side. On the other side, I can still go out and party with my tutors if I want to. So yeah.
Actually, it was more a comment related to what she asked.
Yeah.
That probably for non-European people is even harder.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about first. But then I realized, no wait, Belgium, right? But
Yeah, like, I didn't need a visa or anything. I just come here with my passport, and it's really easy. Just in Porvoo, we just went to do the housing thing, which took like 45 minutes, but that's the only annoying part, I guess. But it's not really. Alright.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, Kaisa will come and talk about meeting new cultures.
Maybe answering to your question, I just had a discussion about
one of the exchange students yesterday. She came from Japan a year ago. Well, almost. She's been here for 9 months, and I was asking basically like, how does it feel to come go back to home, and how do you feel to come to Finland?
Next week.
All the exchange students are saying the same. That it is so well organized in here that it's really easy to come here. They meet the tutors straight away, and we're helping them, and then we have the international coordinators who are answering all the questions. So we can really feel grateful what we have in here. It's a unique thing, and the amount of feedback that you will get as well is going to be amazing. And we just have to keep doing the same thing.
Bye.
Thank you, Alex.
Enjoy the rest of the time.
I will. Just to.
So you know, if there's so many people who can help them, it's gonna make it a lot easier.
And I think if we all get to know one another a bit better before, that also helps everyone to kind of like get all of the tiny little problems you never knew you don't know.
And I also actually had a conversation with her teacher who flew to Finland and came to Porvoo to meet me and the students. He wanted to talk to me, and he said that he has 5 students who he's following throughout their exchange, and Jackie is the only one who doesn't have any problems because everything is so well organized in Finland. So we really have to appreciate that we have a big group of people doing all this stuff, and we really have to thank Haaga-Helia as well, that they know how to organize these things.
Yeah, it's not easy recreating any onboarding type of stuff to anything, especially when it's at all bigger, and seeing it through. Oh, it doesn't work always as easy, but you know, with this group.
Okay. I wish I've heard Alex, because it sounded very But it's great to be here. Have you had more than Alex this afternoon? Yes. You started at 2. And you're finishing at 5-ish. 5-ish, okay. So after me? Or okay. I have to admit, I have no clue what you've done before. So, but I guess, because I'm going to talk about cultures. So, have you done anything than sitting?
No.
Very, very, very good. So, this is going to be something. Just how one people, you don't need more. And when you move the papers, yeah, and the
Oh, you have your own. Good. Anyone else?
Okay, so now everyone has paper and a pen. Excellent. And is it so that there's a Porvoo or something?
Porvoo is partly here, partly there.
Partly, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. We can see it finally. I've never done that before. So, hi all there in Porvoo as well. And you here, nice to have you here as well. So I'm the University Chaplaincy, Pasilan. In Haaga-Helia, I have an office at Pasilan. So I'm kind of, well, not only kind of, I'm located in Helsinki, but I'm available for anyone who wants to come and week we have this student mental health day. Yeah, we had a big event at Pasilan or something everyone went to. So we had everything great. Only few students. But yeah, that was our first attempt to do something together with all the like health workers in Haaga-Helian. But yeah, the next time I hope we have even more students. But yeah, so okay, so now we have everything. Talking about cultures, I think we first need to kind of figure out what is culture. I remember when I was an exchange student in high school, like 3 years ago, in El Paso, in Texas, next to Mexico. Never been in an airplane before that, and that. And well, I've been in Sweden and Estonia and that, not really far away. So kind of the understanding of culture was maybe, oh, nice word. But then when I went to El Paso, and oh, now I know what culture is about. But so I hope you have a good, better better start to talk about the culture than I had at that point, because I think to understand what is culture is easier. It's well, not easy, but it's important in order when you work for as a tutor for people who come around the world. So after having said all that, let's see now. Wonder. Yeah. Oh, you've changed that. Thank you very much. They are the same slides I had last year. And I just looked this today. Oh, I'm gonna be seeing with the last year's date. Thank you, Thea. Yeah. So, this is a task to write the culture in the middle of the table, and then for anything that you think is connected to culture. And that can be you can try to describe what culture is, but you can also just put words that you think that relate to the word culture.
Ei, sun pitää kyllä tuoda sitä tänne päin. Ihan vähän vielä. Yes. No joo. No joo.
I don't know, something that you could try a long time. And I think that since the third culture is very interesting. But now, I didn't just count but let's try. So that in pairs you can tell a little bit what you've written, can share, and then in the same time you can think that what you want to tell everyone, and you find like common things in both your papers. So try to find pairs if that's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can, I mean, in that sense, you all have a chance to talk.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to say something? Excellent. You're very nice group. Did you quietly, nicely express? Nice to have this afternoon. Yeah. So, who wants to? So I would love to hear. Not everything from one, but maybe one thing from each pair. Yeah.
I think we can start. We have few things. We have food, music, art, language. Well, he had social habits, and I had traditions and history, and I don't know why, but colors came to my mind. I think I associate colors into different continents and different nations and that kind of thing.
You said a lot, but it's not. It's good. Yeah. Who do you want to continue?
Yeah. Well, we were next to this barrier. We had common religion, hobbies like sports and free time activities. Then how about like where the houses and stores, like the architecture style, like how the public spaces just seem to be around. And then we came up with one rule. It was like this cultural diversity. How much is there like different types of traits and things to come together as a culture. You know, it's complex thing. So yeah, we just the basic atmosphere of how it's created. So we focus on people, hobbies, and public space.
I'm amazed what you told. It's a few words, but yeah. Do you want to continue?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
just
or you still.
Somebody else can share their.
Because you two were.
We were actually three.
Yeah. Oh, you were three.
Yeah.
So you okay? So you were three and you were three. Okay. So are you then next?
Yes. So we had a lot of things. We had the theater, and then we also have like communication style and language, do things like that. And then also like the ways to live and what to do on the free time.
Yeah, I mean that's really true. Yeah. There's you on that line.
Yeah. We had traditions and celebrations, values and the weather also. Yeah. Rules and the rules of society and laws. And a lot other things that Lucia has mentioned already.
Okay. Good. That is fun. Then are you like 2 and 2?
Yeah, us are 2 and 2.
Okay. So
We had the same.
Almost the same thing, but I just put here identity, values, habits, languages, maybe behavior.
What hasn't come out yet is that I have timetable. So if you make up, or if you say that we meet at this certain time, then it can vary at what time you actually meet. And also in some countries, if you have a siesta, and it's they're used to having the pause in their day.
Yeah, like the rhythm of the day is different.
you want to say something or just give the floor?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I wrote something that no one said yet. That it's about organization. It could be political, geographically, and economically, like in any way.
Yeah.
You wrote something also that no one said really.
Oh really? Oh yeah, I was really that must depend on what has been said, but like religion and food, maybe someone said, and architecture and values, and yeah, tradition. I think somebody said it. Mindset, and music.
Sure. And then we have still three.
We have a lot of the same things, but some that didn't really come up was at least like hierarchy. It might be at school or at work or in general in family. I feel like in Finland the hierarchy is much lower, and you know the relationship between a student and a teacher is much more casual. You speak by the first name, when in some cultures it can be like you have to say Mrs. or Miss, you know, and also how society raises people, kids, and how they treat their young and elderly.
I don't know if it makes any sense that I get the weather here in the culture, because like in Finland it's colder, and if some of those tend to stay at home, so they're not open compared to other cities. Like you will spend more time outside, so they're more social and open, I guess.
Is there just you have a good, well, you all have so good points, but no, I cannot help myself. A little bit commenting. Is there anyone from Korea? No, because well, it's a few years ago when I was in a conference actually in US in Yale, but there was a guy from US, but he had married a girl from Korea, South Korea, and he told that when before the wedding, his future wife introduced him to her boss in South Korea, because that's kind of a thing, how the hierarchy goes. I don't know too much about it. I've been in the South Korea once, but still, but in that sense, the hierarchy can be very, very many things, and that's just one example. But they are the bosses, kind of in a sense, kind of part of the family. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have just something different. It's like about the dressing. People have different dressing. And drinks. Some have a beer, some have tea. And lifestyle, income, and foods.
Well, like basically how you were programmed, I see culture like the way of doing things, the way you think about things. I feel like the basic program of yours. Yeah, sure.
Good.
Yeah.
No, you can say everything.
So,
it's not true.
Basically psychology, kind of like came up in there. And like a big thing for me is understanding and history, because that's where it kind of comes from. So basically also the image and the stereotypes, because that is something that we constantly do to understand the world. And yeah, I just put that experience and you hard. But because it's all about the experience. It's not necessarily how you don't necessarily know the culture, but everybody has their own view and understanding of each culture. So
I also talked a lot about the art is really important for culture, because this is like the speech, like the voice of the people. Really, so like art, like fine art, music, dances, everything is like just telling what is the countries and the cultures.
Oh, yeah, amazing good. I don't need to say anything else. I think we kind of covered everything. Have you had in this tutor education, is that the right word?
Training.
Tutor training? Have you had anything about cultures before?
We just started.
You just started.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, you kind of you opened this. Well, this tries to be your onion. Don't you see? So, obviously onion. Yeah. Many layers. Yeah. Good. You need a little bit maybe imagination. Yeah, it's obviously onion. But I mean, what you told, you kind of covered all these layers, all of them. The first one is kind of something that you see from the outside, like something that Alex said that when he was coming to Finland, people warned him that they are very quiet and they don't talk. That's kind of the first layer, the first image that you get. But then comes the norms and values, which I think you opened very nicely. You mentioned the norms and values, but you also kind of described that how these affect in people's behavior, for example. Well, let's say in Finland, for example, if you're on the bus or the train or tram and you see elderly persons, many think that you should give a seat for that person. And when you do that, you kind of feel very, very good inside yourself. Because you've kind of you've done what you were expected to do. So kind of your inner self tells like your old teacher or parents tell, oh, well done, well done. And in other cultures that would be children. Well, I would say, but it also depends on the different cultures that how these are understood. The basic assumptions are something that you might not even be aware of. But you make these, well, I have a kids about, the other one is 9, another one 13, well, 12, they're going to be 13 in a few months. But this 9-year-old is a boy who is playing football and basketball, and when he's with other guys, they're playing or other boys playing, and I hear all the stories and how they, because well, like the football, you know, it's nowadays in Helsinki, it's a mix of cultures, the whole game of it. But it's been said that these basic assumptions are made in a person before they turn 7. So these little boys, now when they're 9, they carry on these assumptions when they meet each other, and in there you can also hear these assumptions for example about different cultures, which is very, very interesting. There's been interesting discussions, for example, that well, not going too far, too deep, because I think we run out of time, but yeah, I could have excellent stories about that, how this kind of comes clear and the boys start to talk about it, and then they realize that, oh, no, maybe life is bigger than they have kind of thought about it before. But yeah, that was the onion. Now you know, you've covered everything. But oh yeah, I have put these so nicely. There is these few ways of saying our culture, but I think you said it all much better. Culture is the way in which a group of people solve problems. A group, a set of shared norms and values expressed in the behavior of the group's members. Or culture is a collective programming of the mind. There's a spelling error, which distinguishes the members of the group of the category of people from another. It's also been said that the culture is something that's learned. So it's called like programming the culture. We all learn it. Think about it. We learn a lot before we turn 7, and then we carry it on. Like the handshake, for example. I'm actually, how would I say? I'm a PhD student as well. I'm doing a doctoral dissertations about human rights and minorities and things like that. And handshake is one of very interesting things at the moment in Europe. So I mean, think about the little kids, who shake hands? Switzerland, that is kind of a sign that you are a good citizen, that you shake hands. But that's learned by the culture. But there's also other ways of greeting. And then also when it comes to handshake, should it be very firm or like soft? I've learned that if you go to Asia, the nicer handshake is softer. But in Europe, you have a shake, good firm handshake, and that means that you're reliable and all that. But it's not only handshake, it's also how you look people, the eye contact, not too long, but not too little, yeah? And the smile, of course, but not too much, not too little. That's also the sign of that you are reliable. Do you know the beginning, the how handshake first kind of, what was that? Why people shake hands?
To check that the enemy didn't have any weapons in their hand.
Yeah, you have to kind of, yeah. So, that's the history of it, yeah. The program is, it's also interesting to look at it in a way that there is like 3 levels of human nature. If we haven't eaten anything in the day, we usually think, oh, now it's time to eat. I'm too hungry, I have to do something. But how do I eat? Do I just just grab the food and eat it, or do I put knives in the plate and use knives and forks, or things like that? Like in Finland, you eat pizza with knife and fork, but if you go to US, you don't. That's one thing that I learned when I went to. I do the same in here, and then I think, people look at me because you should use knife, but I protest. But that comes to this individual level, that after you know the cultural rules, then you have a chance to make your own choice how you want to do it. But yeah, if in Finland, if you would look at knife and forks are very that's used. But then, well, sauna or bathroom would be one example as well. Not going to in that because I think we run out of time. You can finish it. Fine. So, for that reason, the final work, the task, whatever. I'm not going to tell you next time. I would have a good one, but I'm not going to tell it to you. Instead, I'll just give you the instructions. So think in your mind of a case that you think there's a misunderstanding or some cultural crash or something, and then that I would again recommend the pairs, because now that would give you enough time to do this. So tell that to your pair, and so first tell it from your own point of view, and then, well, now you know already, so don't think about it, you know it, but after you tell it from your point of view, try to do it again and telling it from the other point of view, like stepping to the other side. Don't take too long story because you finish it.
I know, you can have, so I have, usually, at first I was just thinking of fun stories, so this is from my perspective. With my client, the meeting will start at 3 o'clock. At the exact point, so we know that the bus or whatever we
we had to do it without him.
Super cold.
So now I'm getting it from for our culture, you're supposed to be fashionably late in Spain. They're always late. And even though they told me at that point, I was like, okay, I have good time. And when I finally got there, there was no one left.
It always happens to me like super early, so you almost like somebody's having then you can look at least you have a car. Like, I feel like a fool. That's what I thought. I thought the car was like here. That's why. The car didn't run. I had to leave 30 minutes. That's fine. But then I said I really want to coming there, waiting outside. We've got to take like weather all the time.
Trip takes her 50 minutes, so if I think, no, I should be in qualified.
I also feel a lot of well, not too many away, I know, but anyhow, you get out at 5, so it's like 7 or 5 o'clock in the morning, or and then when people say nothing like, oh, make my clothes.
Oh, come on, go away. There's my way.
Especially like the weather. Because also, it's definitely that way. You don't have like, as you grab in front of you, right here. So people just have more But I was kind of understanding, but I feel really we have a speech round, it's called go through lots of art and a lot of people. That's also a lot of for example, us like when there's three like walk, that comes in the train and there's three walk on the train and everybody is walk. But also very funny because I feel it's united.
Is there some group that still haven't moved step 2? Excellent. So the finally, or the final one. So now you can create cultural, or be culturally creative and create some synergy in culture. I'm just checking that, did you all have a story that you can use?
Maybe not quite this that one, I think.
You would need a story?
Well, we have a story, but it
doesn't function in these? Well, do this, and I'm gonna give you a story. Yeah, but you rest of you can use your stories and do the step 3.
Be like, say, let's meet up, see? It's like, let's meet up, so I think that's real talk. I think so.
Well, if you're ready, you can still do it, but with the rest, think about your stories. That what would you like to tell the rest of us? Like good, bright ideas, or what you've learned, or in few words, you want to be right? Yeah, you can brainstorm. What do you want to do? So that we can get out like this. I would love to hear a little bit. You can still were you ready? Yeah? Okay.
We don't have like a specific kind of story, but it was part that I remember when I came to Finland, that it was hard in the beginning to see how to greet people. Because in Argentina we just give one kiss on the cheek to everyone, even if you don't know them, like you make them just on the first day. But here I know that it's not like that. I've never actually, even if you know that person. So we were saying that you just find out that probably the same way always between different cultures is just a handshake.
And altogether personal space. It's very different in many countries.
Yeah.
But I think one thing to always keep in mind is that, if we, like that, even if some we're used to more personal space, we still need to kind of like think, okay, we might not always realize this. Let's say like in Asia, or like let's say in Vietnam, someone can come here and like touch your hair, and it's like, oh, I didn't know that's bad. Or like their like with their in between, that kind of stuff. That they don't know that there's anything bad in there. Obviously, that's a very more complete and like. But I feel like it needs to be both ways. That I feel like at times like doing handshake would also be more on the like okay, on the like for the softer person. Like, I get that it has to go like that. No one's gonna be an uncomfortable zone.
Handshake is actually something that affects some people uncomfortable. So when I think about Muslims, it's so there's actually there's cases in courts in Europe because of the handshakes or refusing to shake hands. So I mean it is an interesting question what's the proper way of greeting? Yeah. And it's not only about handshake, but it's also kissing and because you can do it so many ways. Good example. Who wants to be next? Now, we might end up showing that we don't have time for all, so if you have a good story. Well, I mean, you don't need to tell about the whole story, but just as, what did you realize, general?
So actually, I had a pretty interesting story, but it's not about my culture, but somehow I know it, because I had a cultural education before. So in Finland, like they are more into drinking alcohol, but when it's like kind of business meeting, it's kind of impolite to drink in front of the other business partner. But in China, the business partner actually tried to make the other business partner drunk, so that the truth comes out. So it seems like kind of clash to me. It's like maybe if they do it in Finland, it would be like so kind of insulting or maybe impolite. But China is like pretty normal thing.
Yeah, my husband's actually working a global business in a company, and I think I've heard these stories that it's kind of I cannot remember was it in China, but anywhere somewhere in that direction that it was very hard for these because they were like hosting the foreigners, and they were not allowed to kind of, or it would be unpolite to leave the restaurant. You just have to drink, even though you cannot anymore, but you have to because that's polite. Yeah.
And in Finland it's like you never drink with your workmates unless you're like really close, especially with your boss. You would never think like you would necessarily go out and drink with them. In Asia, I remember when I was in Korea a couple of times, you would always see these men in suits just go out like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. like straight after work to go to a bar, and they would stay there for hours and hours, and really impolite if they say no, or if their boss offers them a drink or a shot, you always have to drink it, even if you wouldn't want to drink it. So it's really different, even though you would think maybe in Finland it would be the other way around, but like I think that's really interesting.
Also karaoke. I didn't know it's such a Finnish thing, but it's like you go to Sweden, it's not, you don't have karaoke at clubs or bars, but
We have like 2 minutes to go. So, what did you find as this step 3? Because I think what is most important is how to cope with these things. Do you like give up and say, oh, we cannot communicate, there's too many risks, something misunderstanding can happen, or
I think in every case it's always about communication. Because the thing is like, let's say if something, some people have like the time issue, someone needs to value so much more of the time rather than the end result, that can then actually be a big crash if you never communicate. And in any situation, I think communication is the key. Within, even within one culture, but also like you can't really blame someone for not understanding, but if they try, then that's happen.
Yeah, and it's also the communication. I mean, I think you're totally right that that's the way of doing it. But like here in Haaga-Helia, I've heard teachers telling that with some like Asian countries, the students are so, they are kind of taught not to kind of make difficult questions for the teacher. And that's something that's expected in here in Finland. Good student makes the questions. So the communication also kind of requires sensitivity. Thank you. I have an excuse. I have a sick child at home and I haven't slept for months last night. She's now better, but you know, throwing up all the night. Yeah, that's yeah, she's now. Yeah, so that's why I'm a little. But yeah, so the sense whatever, it's needed to in the communication. Oh yeah, I have the final slide. But this one. Having said all that, I think it sounds that you're going to be excellent tutors for exchange students, which is a very special thing, because I mean they're going to stay here for so short time. But what a chance! I mean, they really want to know the Finnish culture, and you have a chance to see so many cultures. Just my curiosity, how many of you are from Finland? Or consider that you are from Finland? Because I mean, yeah, that's also, sometimes I've heard the stories that people who for generations been living in Finland, that they're still called immigrants. When do you become a Finn? You born Finland. Yeah. So thank you, and you're gonna have the whole May for training.
No, just 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow and then
So they yeah. And you're going to Kilja-vaina, it's
we're going to Kesärinne.
Kesärinne.
Yes.
Anyway, enjoy.
Don't leave yet.
Yeah, so we'll get the tutor pass now. How many did the English one? Me. Right, keep your hand up.
for the camp?
Tomorrow. After the session, you will get all the camp details there, and after that, I'll still send an email that has all the packing list.
Okay, so close by, so.
Yeah, but that's usually how we do it. Like we give the deets then, and Heidi is actually booking the buses for you. I mean, she told me the buses that we're gonna book for you. So when it's confirmed, I will send the email. But anyways, if you want to know immediately, hey. Well, I'm giving some details. Okay, I'll come back to you. So if you already received your pass, feel free to go. We'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. See you there. Bye, people. So we leave for the camp at 9 o'clock from Pasilan. Yes, but you'll get a bus from Porvoo that leaves 7:35. So you'll be 8:30, yeah, at Pasilan, and then we're gonna go together with the bus.
But if we come to Pasilan here, you can take the bus from Pasilan.
You can take the bus from Pasilan as well, but I heard that you don't have a ride from Porvoo, so we will buy tickets for you.
Yeah, I know, but because I found out a way to stay here in Helsinki on Sunday.
Okay,
so it's easier for me.
Can you give the information to Heidi? Because otherwise we pay for the buses, and then we're just gonna waste money. So please inform Heidi about that. So we know. Anything else? Sä oot tulossa autolla. Okei, koska Heidi, tuu nyt tänne. Mä oon vähän confused, koska täällä on niinku autoa, ei oo tullut bussilla.
Laitan tänään viestiä siitä vielä, että jos on, mutta ei kaikki mahdu meidän autolla.
Joo. Mutta koska...
Ja ootko valmis ottaa kymppakyytiin?
Okei, mutta onko siellä sit ketään tulos, koska you said that you will come from Pasila?
Yeah, I think I can go from Pasila.
No, sit varmaan todennäköisesti ei, mutta mä laitan viestiä tosta vielä tänään. Niin.
Joo. Voitko sä laittaa suoraan Iidalle, koska Iida nyt ostaa ne bussiliput, jos ostaa?
Vois.
Joo, koska jos mä ostan kaikille bussiliput, niin sitten
Mä laitan Slackissa sinne viestiin suoraan.
Joo.
Voidaan me käydä vielä sitten pikaseen.
What is the
Do you have any questions from today? Well, you can go and then just ask if there is anything. There's quite a lot of things to come, but
will there be sauna?
Because I was thinking constantly, I was like, oh, you
But you can go swimming though. Yeah, because they have some problems with the beach there, and they would require to people go and dive and like look that the beach is fine. There's something really sharp at the bottom of the beach, so they advised us not to go swimming at all until they can go and dive it out. Yeah, it's sad, but it's same thing with Helia. So.
Mutta siis se on sitä, että onko sulla, haluatko sä, voisit saada autopäivää? Helena, are you coming from Porvoo to the camp?
No, I'm going to go from Pasilan.
Even though you will get a ride from there?
Because I will be staying in my parents' place. I already decided to stay in the Helsinki area.
Yeah. Are you coming from Porvoo? Are you willing to take a ride to live there? Thank you. That would be cool, actually. No. You are coming from Helsinki? Yeah. So Reggie is coming from Helsinki as well. So if you could take the ride and
Can I take back rides still because I need to be in Helsinki on Monday? So with one way car.
Julia varmaan onnistuu, jos tulee takaisinpäin Helsinkiin.
Joo, jos vaan kerrotte, että mikä